Well, thank you, Rama. I see a bright career ahead of you in politics. And so your story about your own families and your cousin dealing with malaria is exactly the type of reminder as to why we do what we do as advocates, and why we invest in nets, why we invest in the full range of treatments to make sure that people don't contract malaria. And so these types of individual stories are exactly what's so important to this broader cause. And I also want to say the type of long-term relationship that you had with Senator Reid is exactly the type of long-term relationships that we all need to develop with our policymakers, because it's those long-term relationships that have the greatest potential over time to ensure that our policymakers are responsive to what we want, which is to make sure that America continues to play a leadership role on global health issues more generally, on the United Nations, and on malaria in specific. So I think those types of long-term relationships that Rama developed with Senator Reid is just an example about what we all collectively need to do with our own policymakers. It's now my great pleasure to introduce my boss. She has been at the United Nations Foundation since 2003. She's been our president and CEO for the past 4 years. She had, before she was at the UN Foundation, a long and distinguished career in the philanthropic community on Capitol Hill and in the private sector as a media expert. She has transformed the United Nations Foundation into a thriving organization focused on advocacy, not just at the U.S. Level, but around the world, and ensured that the United Nations Foundation has strong and meaningful relationships with global leaders and UN officials and people in the media that can really make things happen around the world. So without further ado, Kathy Kelman.